See, carefully understand what I am discussing here is the ideal one. Sometimes we may use all of them, sometimes we may use only a part of them, but these are the general aspects related to how to write an anthropology answer. Like even in GS you have an introduction, you have something like body, and then you have conclusion. So structure, this is the structure of the answer. Anything which is structured only is effective. If there is no structure, it is chaotic, it is disorderly. Disorderly things, chaotic things, people do not cherish, isn't it? So it is important that you structure everything. You are in a presentable condition because you structured yourself well. If your thought process also is structured well, your answers will be clear. You get my point? So how to know whether your thought process is structured or not? I will see through your answers only. That means before UPSC personality test is conducted, they are seeing whether the person is structured or not through various means, and mains is one such thing which gives a clear picture of the thought process of students appearing in the exam. If someone is writing randomly, UPSC doesn't want them. If some person is writing like irregularly, or they don't have like a clear understanding of the concept, anyone will write randomly. So they are checking whether the person is having a clear thought process. When will you have clear thought process, by the way? When you have clear understanding only, when you have learned well, when your basics are right, when your concept is strong, then only you will be able to write something in a structured manner, because your thought process is structured. Because your writing comes from thoughts, you won't write mechanically, isn't it? So a structured answer definitely gets a good mark. There is no doubt in anything, not only UPSC, anywhere. Whatever exam you are writing, which if it is descriptive in nature or subjective in nature, definitely a well structured answer will fetch more marks than writing points in a random manner. So introduction, body, conclusion. Everyone knows it, what is there. Now again, within this, because you are appearing in one of the most difficult exams, undoubtedly true. So we would want some kind of professional writing rather than a substandard way of presenting. So in both introduction and conclusion, never paraphrase or rephrase the things which are given in the question. You get my point? So question like, what is the impact of globalization on traditional indigenous economic system? What is paraphrasing or rephrasing? Taking the same sentence. The impact of globalization on traditional indigenous economic systems is, you are writing. So introduction you have is rephrasing, it is paraphrasing. In conclusion, the above is the impact of, so you unnecessarily wasted 50 words. Isn't it? Maybe here, maybe you can start with a scholar's quote or a phrase relevant to the question. In worst case scenario, you can explain what are the key terms in the question. So never rephrase or paraphrase. Both in here. Particularly in both introduction and conclusion, negative tone, sarcasm, should be avoided, isn't it? No, people will definitely like to be with people who are positively oriented towards their life. If every time some person is saying negative, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 1 week, 1 month, definitely you will abandon the person, because the person is always speaking negative, and the person is most likely to corrupt your attitude also. So people like even UPSC doesn't want negative people. Like if they are seeing only negative things in the society, or negative things in the administration or governance, or negative aspects of economy only, then they cannot see any kind of, or they cannot take any measures to improve the process, isn't it? It is a universal fact that corruption is universal. In India, it is deeply rooted. But how all of you are preparing for UPSC and want to enter into a corrupt system? But even in spite of that, you are seeing a brighter side of it. Yes or no? So in the beginning, everyone is positively oriented, but some, because of experiences or some other things, people become negative. So they don't want people like this. If a person is negative or sarcastic or pessimistic, they will just become a whistleblower. They will waste their tenure without actually substantially contributing to their position or to the public, isn't it? So they don't want this one. So I don't. Next, particularly in conclusion, make sure, depending on the question, you are a visionary, or you are positively oriented towards the life, maybe suggestions or relevance or way forward, depending on the demand of the question. You get to my point? Because I have given way forward here, but for no reason every conclusion you are writing way forward, purpose is defeated. So depending on the demand of the question and what the question is expecting, you can include any of these. Now coming to the body. So maybe, as I said, you can write some definitions given by various scholars, or quotes, or phrases, or in detail explain the keywords in continuation with introduction. Now, try to interlink paper 1 and paper 2. Again, this also you will get only by practicing in that direction. Say for example, if I am teaching something and I all of a sudden, like in your beginning classes, all of a sudden I start linking it with paper 2. Will you be able to appreciate it? Definitely not, because you will think all of a sudden why sir is speaking in a context which otherwise is unfamiliar with us. So while we are teaching, we obviously go in a very systematic manner, and this interlinking can be done by self-assessment, isn't it? Maybe if you want external validation, you can ask us or ask me. So when you can do this one? In the beginning of your classes, in the middle of your classes, or after completing your classes? Which one more probability or more chances are there? After completing the class, because you have a overview of all the topics. So this is a trait which you would develop over a period of time, and most probably after completing the syllabus. Yes? And that can be done by self-assessment, or if you want external validation, you can always reach out to me. Yes? But that cannot be done in the beginning. Understand this one. Yes? Next, multidimensional. So many of the questions in anthropology or any other optional, and even in GS, always are focusing on this one. Interlinkage. In GS also interlinkages are there. Anytime impact and these kind of things are multidimensional. You get my point? So like maybe this is a narrow dimension. This is a broad dimension. So if someone is writing this one and someone is writing this one, who should get more credit? Because multidimensional. Maybe some person has written on in impact only economic impact. Some others have written social impact, economic impact, political impact, cultural impact. Who should be given more marks? Why? Multidimensional. The person is able to see comprehensively. Isn't it? We don't want narrow. We want a broad thing. Yes? So, interlinkages, multidimensional. Where necessary, you can draw diagrams or maybe present in the form of flow charts or some other creative manner which will improve the aesthetic influence. Sometimes drawing a chart is more better than writing several paragraphs. So you have to select a method which is more impactful, or you have to go for that creative thing where it is more impactful. So this is all dependent on your creativity. Maybe like every time I am discussing, I will come up with something. It is not limited to that, because creativity is something individual specific, that depends on you. So this is another component. This makes the answer original also, because it is you and your creativity. Next, examples. An elaborated example is a case study. So obviously, whenever we want to make the point clear, we cite an example. You get my point? Maybe if I say like there are like polyandrous marriages, immediately what you'll say, where, which society? We don't know. Examples. And if we are providing more details along with this, then it becomes a case study. So case study is with some facts and with a longer explanation. You get my point? So examples, case studies. Then finally, subject specific keywords you have to use. Subject specific language. So you can't write polity without quoting the articles or the cases. Likewise, here you can't write an answer by not taking any of these. Maybe examples or case studies or scholars' definitions or quotes. You get my point, or the works of anthropologists. Without that, you can't write an answer. 90% of the answers should contain at least one or the other scholar. At least one. But never bombard the answer with a number of scholars. At least one. Two or three is ideal. Not more than three. If you are writing these many 10 scholars and say these persons have said, finally what you are saying. So don't bombard with multiple scholars, nor totally avoid writing anthropologists. So one compulsory, 2 or 3 ideal, not more than that according to me. So these are some aspects which you have to